Good morning. Here's your U.S. news briefing for Saturday, August 1st. Death toll in Spain. Border crisis reaches 67 as tens of thousands cross back into Morocco. The death toll in Spain's Ceuta border crisis with Morocco has climbed to 67. They included some who drowned and some who were killed in a stampede to cross a breakwater barrier. $200,000 worth of supplies donated to PB schools. Stick to spending limits, PM and Chancellor tell ministers in joint memo. The Chancellor said the budget on October 28 would meet our fiscal rules and give families stability to plan for the future. OpenAI reportedly finds evidence that more of its agents ran amok. OpenAI has reportedly found evidence of additional agent misbehavior as it looks into the incident that occurred with Hugging Face. Cunningham unconcerned about being a distraction. Sophie Cunningham says she's unconcerned that the rallies against transgender participation in women's sports that have accompanied the Indiana Fever's recent games are a distraction for the WNBA team. Massive Attack duo banned from Singapore over Palestinian flag display. Both members of Massive Attack have been permanently barred from re-entering Singapore after unfurling a Palestinian flag during the British trip-hop group and #8217's concert in the city-state, according to a joint statement from the Singapore Police Force and the Infocom Media Development Authority, IMDA. Pisces Daily Horoscope. February 19th to March 20th. Russian strikes on Kyiv kill at least 9, Ukraine officials say. The attack comes as Moscow escalates deadly ballistic missile attacks on the Ukrainian capital. Family throws surprise birthday party at Eagles tailgate for Vietnam vet. Snapchat joins other popular platforms in fight against AI slop. Snapchat, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack are trying to combat the proliferation of fake AI content. Not just Neanderthals, ghost lineage in Africa left its mark on our DNA. Some group with no modern descendants contributed a lot to our genomes. Court hands NCAA major loss on new 545 rule. A federal court dealt a major blow to the NCAA's new eligibility rule when it ruled that all high school class of 22 athletes who exhausted their fourth season of college eligibility this spring are eligible for a fifth season this school year. The Inbetweeners reunion movie in the works at Netflix with original lead cast to return. And #8220, The Inbetweeners and #8221, the hit Brit teen comedy series from the late 2000s that spawned two successful spin-off films, is officially back. Anti-humidity hair products for smooth and shiny strands. Summer heat is no match for these blowout sprays. Race to rescue remaining climbers after deadly avalanche in Pakistan. Poor weather has been hampering the search for 7 still missing after Thursday's avalanche on Broad Peak. Over 81,000 U.S. soldiers are missing from past wars. One may soon be identified. In June, the Department of Defense disinterred the remains of an unidentified World War II soldier who had been buried in Sitka, Alaska for decades. Now, they'll try to confirm who he is. Fintech broker Clearstreet offers investors pre-IPO access to $188 billion AI giant Databricks. Fintech brokerage Clearstreet is launching a private markets platform, beginning with Databricks stakes, to give investors more access to late-stage startups. With Switch 2, iPhone, and laptop tricks, the Charge Disk Pro 2 is finally a worthy EDC. Charge, the company that makes delightful retro Mac-shaped chargers and see-inside batteries, is finally impressing me with a portable SSD. I couldn't recommend the Charge Disk, Disk Plus, or even the Disk Pro, but I'd be happy to own the new Disk Pro 2 Ultra. This isn't just a drive. DOJ to drop reflecting pool case versus ex-Olympian. The Justice Department on Friday acknowledged the damage to the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool was the result of a botched installation by a contractor and moved to dismiss its criminal case against former Olympian David Hearn. FIFA chief Gianni Infantino on the ropes as he ditches controversial $20 billion private investment plan. Gianni Infantino, the embattled president of soccer's governing body FIFA, has abandoned his controversial plan to create a $20 billion company, FIFA Forward Enterprise, that would control the commercial rights to its events, principally the World Cup. I finally found smudge-proof mascaras that are actually easy to remove. It might be time to ditch your old formula for tubing mascara. FIFA scraps controversial World Cup investment plan. Football's world governing body FIFA abandons plans to sell off stakes in its major competitions after widespread opposition to President Gianni Infantino's proposal. Staff Sergeant Rampersad, 28, who always knew she wanted to serve, is laid to rest. Staff Sergeant Angel S. Rampersad is one of a handful of service members who've recently died in the conflict with Iran. Spider-Man, Brand New Day sets domestic box office preview record with $72 million. Sony and Marvel's Spider-Man, Brave New Day is expected to haul in around $270 million domestically over its debut weekend. Rivian spin-off also to start delivering e-bikes after months of delays. Also has big plans beyond the TMB. The startup mostly refers to itself as a vehicle company and has plans to make four-wheel pedal-assist cargo vehicles for Amazon. Sketebo admits doing dumb things, but you learn. Giants running back Cam Sketebo admitted Friday to sometimes doing dumb things, citing his recent backflip at Fanatics Fest, and said he met with coach John Harbaugh. Tiger Shroff to star in Vicky Jane's VJ Frames launch title, directed by Remo D'Souza, with Abhishek Banerjee, Elvish Yadav also set, exclusive. Indian producer and entrepreneur Vicky Jain has launched a new production banner, VJ Frames, timed to coincide with his birthday. The company and #8217's debut project is an action franchise directed by Remo D and #8217, Souza, starring Tiger Shroff, Abhishek Banerjee, and Elvish Yadav. The 2027 Met Gala will explore John Galliano's complicated legacy. The exhibit, John Galliano, Horizons, will trace the visionary designer's evolution across 4 decades of fashion. Israeli West Bank settler tells BBC attacks on Palestinians are justified as revenge. Settler violence against Palestinians is on the rise in the West Bank, as settlements and outposts expand. Bipartisan senators press Rubio to unlock family planning funding for women in Ebola outbreak. A bipartisan pair of senators pressed the Trump administration to release family planning funding and supplies to aid women affected by an ongoing Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. In a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday, Senators Jeanne Shaheen, Democrat New Hampshire, and Lisa Murkowski, Republican Alaska, requested to lift the FIFA tests the limits of private equity in sports with World Cup subsidiary sale. UEFA and CONCACAF's rejection of FIFA's plan to sell a 20% stake in the World Cup's commercial operations highlights uneasiness with private equity in sports. Silicon Valley loves young founders. Until it doesn't. AI tools have democratized the opportunity to build, shortening the timelines of success and enabling more young people to start successful companies without stepping foot inside a big tech company. McVay, no Donald update yet, but in right direction. Rams coach Sean McVay said Friday he doesn't expect defensive tackle Aaron Donald to decide about coming out of retirement until after the team returns to its facility August. Barbie sequel stalled as Warner Brothers tries to reach deals with Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling. The studio has until December to make a deal with the principal talent in Gerwig, according to the New York Times. Ariana Grande's Petal lyrics read like a breakup letter to pop star fame. It's bye, this time for real / tired of painting endless pictures of a life that isn't mine. Peru's ex-president leaves jail after 15-year jail term for corruption overturned. Ollanta Humala had been convicted of money laundering offenses alongside his wife in 2025. Amazon received $600 million in Trump tariff refunds, will return some to customers. Amazon said this week that it received hundreds of millions of dollars in refunds from President Trump's tariffs and pledged to return some of the profits to its customers. This follows a Supreme Court decision earlier this year that many of the Trump administration's tariffs were illegal, prompting the U.S. government to start a process. How Leopold Aschenbrenner built a $45 billion AI hedge fund and lost most of it in days. Leopold Aschenbrenner, a former OpenAI researcher turned hedge fund manager, saw a dramatic decline this week in his AI-focused fund, Situational Awareness. Doctors took a look at man's painful shoulder, they found the joint was missing. The term Milwaukee shoulder syndrome was coined in 1981, based on cases in 4 women. Crystal ball predicting the 2026 MLB trade deadline. Based on what ESPN's Jeff Passan is hearing, we predict where the top trade candidates will land and how they impact each other. How Jack Haven found innocence in teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma slasher Little Death. The actor plays the killer in Camp Miasma's in-universe slasher franchise. I like a character that just doesn't quite know how human things work, but is interested in playing with them. John Galliano is the subject of the next Costume Institute show. The Met Costume Institute will dedicate its 2027 spring show to the work of legendary designer John Galliano. Trump administration drops reflecting pool vandalism charge and admits botched repairs. President Donald Trump had blamed sick vandals, and a former Olympian had been charged, but prosecutors now say contractors caused the damage. U.S. planning renewed strikes on Iran, reports. The U.S. is reportedly planning to reopen strikes against Iran as soon as this weekend, U.S. officials told several outlets on Friday. That's your briefing for today. Have a great day.